staring into a mirror in the dark. They said, "If you dare to look long enough, you'll see something that doesn't belong to this world." I turned off every light, leaving only one candle beside the glass. At first, it was just my face, distorted in the trembling light. But the longer I stared, the more I realized something was wrong. The eyes in the reflection weren't looking straight ahead anymore. They were staring at me directly, cold, hatred in their gaze. Then, the reflection's mouth began to curl into a smile. I stumbled backward, but the figure in the mirror didn't move with me. It just stood there, bowing its head, whispering in distorted voices, like hundreds of people speaking at once. "We are right behind you." I spun around. The room was empty. When I looked back at the mirror, there was nothing but darkness. I never dared to try again. But if you're curious, stare into your mirror at midnight. Just remember, don't look for too long. Going around online, if you dare to spend a night sleeping in a graveyard, the spirits will come to you. My best friend and I thought it was nothing but nonsense. To prove we weren't scared, we brought a tent and flashlights to an abandoned cemetery on the outskirts of town. By midnight, the air was freezing cold, the smell of damp soil mixed with faint traces of incense. We lay in the tent, but I couldn't sleep. Every rustle of the grass sounded like footsteps circling us. Around 2 a.m., I opened my eyes. My friend was still lying beside me, fast asleep. But then I heard it, a whisper. Not male, not female, just a voice repeating the same words. "Come out, come out." Thinking it was a prank, I peeked outside. All I saw were endless rows of graves under the pale moonlight. Nothing moved. Relieved, I turned back inside and froze. The sleeping bag beside me was empty. My friend was gone, and the whisper, now it was right behind me. "Come out with me." People online said there's a trick to see ghosts. Sit alone in the dark, light one candle, just watch the flame, and wait. I wanted to prove it was fake, so I killed the lights, shut the blinds, and lit a single candle in my room. At first, nothing, just silence. The flame swayed a little, but the longer I stared, the stranger it felt. The shadows didn't move with me anymore. They moved on their own. Then I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. A knock from inside the wall. I panicked, blew at the candle. It wouldn't go out. I tried to snuff it with my hand, still burning. The shadows kept stretching, bending, forming something tall and crooked behind me. The candle finally died on its own, pitch black, and right in the dark by my ear, a low voice whispered, "People say animals can see what we can't. If your pet suddenly stares into the dark, don't look." One night, I was home alone with my dog, Max. He's usually lazy, never barks, but out of nowhere, he froze, ears up, eyes locked on the corner of the living room. There was nothing there, just shadows. But Max started growling low and deep, like something was standing right in front of him. I laughed nervously and tried to pull him away. That's when his growl stopped, and he started wagging his tail. But here's the thing. He wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking beside me, tail wagging, eyes wide, like someone was standing right there, smiling. The air turned ice cold. My phone screen lit up on its own, and on the black screen's reflection, I saw a hand resting on my shoulder. They say kids can see things we can't. If your child starts talking to someone who isn't there, you should worry. One evening, I was babysitting my little cousin Lily. She was playing quietly in the living room when she suddenly stopped, turned her head, and smiled at the empty corner. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. She giggled. "My new friend. He says his name is Daniel." There was nobody there, just shadows. But Lily nodded, as if she was listening to someone. Then she waved straight at the darkness. I laughed it off until she whispered, "He says you can see him too, if you sit down." The lights flickered, the air went freezing cold, and from the corner I heard the sound of a second child laughing, only this time it wasn't Lily. They say abandoned land never stays empty. Something always lingers. There's a lot near my town. Everyone avoids it. No houses, no shops, just dirt and broken foundations. They say a whole block once stood there, until one night it burned to the ground. No one rebuilt. I went there on a dare just after midnight. At first, it was quiet. Too quiet. Even the insects didn't make a sound. Then I noticed it. The ground was moving, not shaking, breathing. With every step I took, the dirt seemed to rise and fall like lungs inhaling beneath my feet. I tried to run, but I heard footsteps matching mine, chasing me closer and closer. I spun around and saw dozens of footprints appearing in the dirt, forming a circle around me. The air turned heavy. Whispers rose from the ground, hundreds of voices gasping in unison. And when I looked down, the soil cracked open, revealing a pale hand reaching out for my ankle. They say black cats can guide souls, but if one joins your game, you shouldn't play long. One summer night, we played hide and seek at my cousin's old house. Just for fun, we left the back door open, and a stray black cat wandered in. "It'll make the game scarier," my cousin laughed. The seeker began counting. We all scattered. I hid in a dark closet, holding my breath. That's when I felt something brush against my leg. It was the cat, glowing yellow eyes, staring at me in the dark. I tried to shoo it away, but instead, it walked out of the closet tail high and stopped at the middle of the hallway. Then it turned its head, staring right at me. I froze. The seeker shouldn't have known I was there, but suddenly, heavy footsteps pounded toward the closet. The door flung open. No one was there, just shadows spilling in. And behind me, the cat purred softly before whispering in a child's voice, "Found you." They say if you stand at a crossroads at midnight, you don't stand there alone. My friend dared me to try a ritual we found online. The rules were simple. Go to a deserted crossroads at midnight, place a candle in the middle, whisper your name 3 times, and wait. I thought it was just a joke, so I went. At first, nothing happened, just the sound of crickets and the hum of the streetlights. I laughed, ready to leave, but then the wind stopped. The air grew still, and I heard footsteps from every direction at once. I blew out the candle, but the flame didn't die. It turned black. Shadows stretched across the pavement, 4 of them, each walking toward the center. None had a face. I ran, but every street I took brought me back to the same crossroads, same candle, same shadows. And as they surrounded me, I realized the rule I never read to the end. If you call at the crossroads, someone will always answer, but you don't get to choose who. They say doors are boundaries between us and something else. The ritual was simple. At exactly midnight, open your front door wide. Do not say a word. Do not move. Just wait. I didn't believe it, of course. So one night, I tried. 12 o'clock. The lock clicked. The door creaked open. Cold air swept in. At first, nothing, just silence. Then I noticed the shadows in my hallway were wrong, stretching toward the door as if being pulled outside. And then I heard it. Footsteps on the porch. Slow, heavy. Someone was standing there just beyond the threshold. I couldn't see a face, only the outline, taller than any man I'd ever seen. It didn't move closer. It just whispered over and over, "Let me in." The air grew colder. My breath came out in mist. My phone died in my hand. And when I finally slammed the door shut, the whisper didn't stop. It was coming from inside the house. They say doors are boundaries between us and something else. The ritual was simple. At exactly midnight, open your front door wide. Do not say a word. Do not move. Just wait. I didn't believe it, of course. So one night, I tried. 12 o'clock. The lock clicked. The door creaked open. Cold air swept in. At first, nothing, just silence. Then I noticed the shadows in my hallway were wrong, stretching toward the door as if being pulled outside. And then I heard it. Footsteps on the porch, slow, heavy. Someone was standing there just beyond the threshold. I couldn't see a face, only the outline, taller than any man I'd ever seen. It didn't move closer. It just whispered over and over, "Let me in." The air grew colder. My breath came out in mist. My phone died in my hand. And when I finally slammed the door shut, the whisper didn't stop. It was coming from inside the house. They say spirits leave behind a scent, sweet, rotten, or something you'll never forget. It started one night while I was studying alone. A faint smell drifted into the room. Not food, not smoke. It was floral, almost like lilies. But lilies don't grow anywhere near my house. The scent grew stronger. Sweet at first, then sour, then unbearably rotten. I searched everywhere. Trash, pipes, windows, nothing. And then I realized something terrifying. The smell moved with me. When I walked into the kitchen, it followed. When I ran upstairs, it grew stronger, like someone breathing down my neck. I turned on every light, but the air only got heavier. My chest burned, my eyes watered. Finally, I looked in the mirror and saw a pale figure standing right behind me. A woman with flowers in her hair, wilted, dripping. She leaned close and whispered,